Last week, we had the one-year anniversary special of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This week, we have the 50th episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Good afternoon, Southern California, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. We had quite a bit of a quiet week last week in terms of Southern California sports, as we had the MLS and the MLB both on break. The Angels, Dodgers, and Padres representatives got to play in the All-Star game, and Shohei Ohtani got to play in the Home Run Derby. Did he win, or did he get bounced early and often? Hopefully it wasn't the second one. And Space Jam 2 is out in theaters and on demand, as I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard good things about it. And speaking of the Lakers, I've been hearing rumors that could they land Damian Lillard? Could be a long shot. It might not be a long shot, but who knows? Got all that and more in terms of Southern California sports, and it's the not the 1 year anniversary, the 50th episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I'll be going over the origination of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, how this show came to be, and hopefully more things going forward. All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, the 50th episode here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, the 50th episode. I can't believe I actually just said that. Yes, the 50th episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And yes, I have not miscounted. This is indeed the 50th episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And honestly, I can't believe it. It's really been 50 episodes. Last week, like I said, we had the 1 year anniversary of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Now we have the 50th episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I'm actually quite proud, and I feel this show kind of needs the applause button. But without any further delay, let us get on into all that is Southern California sports here in beautiful sunny SoCal. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon. But first, before we get on into the Southern California sports action, we have a sponsor to go over. And this sponsor is the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organization. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. And it can be in any sport, whether it's football, basketball, volleyball, hockey, soccer, baseball, you name it. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you have been waiting for as an athlete. And everyone knows that if you get a second chance in this world, it's a gift and a blessing. I hate to use the word bless, but it really is. Anyway, you can follow SoCal Warriors on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, and you can follow them on Instagram at Southern California_Warriors. And then they're also on Facebook. If you just look up the word Southern than California, than Warriors, then you'll get the SoCal Warriors. And their little logo is basically the two gloves with a big old W on it. So definitely do follow the Southern California Warriors on social media. And while you're at it, make sure you follow IE Sports Radio on social media as well. On Twitter and Instagram, they're both at IE Sports Radio. And then they're also on Facebook by just searching the words IE, the word sports, and then the word radio. And then poof, you've got IE Sports Radio on your search feed. And once you click follow or like, you will be following them. So now without any further delay, let's get on into the Southern California sports action. So, alright, so there hasn't been, since most of the sports were on break from last week, such as like the Galaxy and LAFC, we're actually just going to knock all the sports out in one fell swoop, and then we'll go to a commercial break, and then after that said commercial break, we're going to have a little story time with Teran. What might that be, dare you ask? You'll have to find out after the break. But let's get on into the sports action. So we'll start with the NBA for starters. So in the terms of the NBA, obviously the Lakers and Clippers are out. So, but as today is July 16th, 2021. Today is the release of Space Jam 2, starring LeBron James. So, obviously, I'm really want to see it just because I was a huge Space Jam fan. That was my childhood back in the day. I loved watching Space Jam and how Michael Jordan pretty much saved the world from the Monstars. It was absolutely amazing. And then when I heard Space Jam 2 was coming out, I'm like, I definitely got to see this. And then obviously it has LeBron James starring. But he's not the only Southern California pro sport athlete that is in the movie. Anthony Davis, spoiler alert, but it shouldn't be a spoiler considering if you've seen some of the trailers, you obviously know that Anthony Davis is going to be in the film. So Anthony Davis is also in Space Jam 2, and not only is he Neka Owumo, I'm gonna pronounce this right. Neka Owomuke. Neka Owomuke. There we go. Neka Owomuke of the Los Angeles Sparks is also in the movie as well. So definitely gotta check that out if you're a Sparks or a Lakers fan. And then also, there's one more person who's in the the Space Jam film. So, and I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he is a Southern California product, and he actually is playing LeBron James' son. Like I really got to get this guy's name right because but he does play LeBron James' son, and honestly, it must be a great honor. So I'm gonna look up his name right now, and Sayer Wright, that's his name. So Sayer Wright is playing LeBron James' son in Space Jam 2, which he's playing the role of Dominic, whatever you want to call him. So why is Sayer Wright so special? Let me tell you a couple things. So Sayer Wright is actually going to USC. That's one thing. And second of all, he was a Loyola High School alum. Now, for those of you that don't know, Loyola High School is in Los Angeles. It's a private all-boys school located in beautiful Los Angeles. And he got picked to star in Space Jam. And that's a huge deal because not only is he looking forward, well, he's obviously making his mark and he's making Loyola High School proud, but I'm also going to say this, like, the fact that a Southern California star, because he was a stud at Loyola, and the fact that he's going to USC means that this kid is going to be something special. So, Sayer Wright is going to be playing LeBron James' son, Dominic, so you're going to have to find out more when it comes to watching Space Jam. And I'm going to have to watch Space Jam. But I definitely want to give Sayre Wright his shout-out on the show just because that is a huge deal. They could have hired anyone to play LeBron James' son. Heck, they could have gotten LeBron James' son to play LeBron James' son in Space Jam 2. So, good job to Sayre Wright. I'll give him a little bit of an applause real quick. Alright, but that's his little shout out right there, and it's great stuff. And he even says that it's been amazing and it's still crazy that he was able to play LeBron James' son. So, good for you, Sayre Wright. But other than that, you'll just have to check out Space Jam 2 to find out what happens. And again, I gotta check out Space Jam 2, but that's pretty much that topic out of the way. So, now let's jump over to the Lakers. So, there hasn't been too much news when it comes to the Lakers, except we did get this little wave of news saying that Damian Lillard might be coming to the Lakers, which, if he is, awesome. Like, honestly, that'd be really cool if Damian Lillard went to the Lakers. But I find this rather impossible. Like, who are the Lakers are going to have to give up a lot. Like, I actually saw via Lakers Nation, which is actually a Facebook page and a YouTube channel, that the Lakers would have to give up Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Talen Horton-Tucker, and probably either Dennis Schroeder or Montrezl Harrell for Damian Lillard. And the Lakers don't really have too much draft capital to trade when it comes to these teams. So, yeah, it's not... I mean, I wouldn't count out the Lakers. Like, if the Lakers do want to, like, trade for Lillard, awesome. Like, if they really want to include those four players, like I mentioned, maybe try to include Alex Caruso, then so be it. But it's going to be really tough to land Lillard, especially since they don't want to, like, trade AD. Like, personally, I would not trade Anthony Davis just because I know he got banged up, and he's been banged up all throughout his years, but it's just, I don't want him to go. Like, I think AD is just too valuable to trade. So, Lakers will just have to find someone else. And they're not going to trade LeBron. The only other scenario I could see the Lakers getting Damian Lillard is if Damian Lillard requests a trade to the Lakers. Like, if he says, look, I want to get traded to the Lakers, I'm going on 30 years old, I want to make it to the NBA Finals, and I want to end my career off with a championship ring, trade me to the Lakers. That's the only way that the Lakers can probably land Damian Lillard. But if Damian Lillard doesn't request any trade, like if he doesn't particularly request going to the Lakers, like if the Lakers are going to have to match the Blazers like move for move. Like it's really like that. Like, it's not going to be easy for the Lakers to trade. Like, it's not like the Warriors, where the Warriors have a lot of draft capital and they also have young key pieces they want to move around. So, there's that. But if the Lakers do land Damian Lillard, that would be super epic. If anything, they could try to land CJ McCollum, maybe try Kyle Lowry. So, we'll see. As we say hello to Marcus Loscrate in the chat room, thank you for tuning in, my brother, as well as Larry B saying, happy 50 episodes, man. I appreciate you. By the way, the Sports Couple Perspectives will be coming on at 6:45, so I won't make this show too long. Even though it is the 50th episode special, we're just going to get the sports knocked out in one fell swoop. Then we'll have story time with Teran after. And also check out Marcus Loscrate Show, Gloves Off, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Time. There we go. So, but that's going to be that for the NBA. Not too much going on because the off season is just barely getting started, and the Lakers and Clippers aren't in the finals. We're just seeing the Suns and the Bucks duke it out in the finals. And last I checked, Phoenix and Milwaukee are both not in Southern California. So even though CP3 was, or Chris Paul was a former Clipper, but I digress. So there's that for the NBA talk. Now let's jump on over to some MLS action. So last week we did not have any MLS games going on because break and whatnot, and it was the World Cup if I'm not mistaken. So in terms of MLS this week, the Galaxy hit the road to play Vancouver on Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. This game will be played at Rio Tinto Stadium, which is in Sandy, Utah. I guess maybe it's because of what the MLS wants, and they're having like neutral sites at games. Not entirely sure, but this is going to be the start of a 3-game road trip for the Galaxy. Currently, the Galaxy are resting in third place with 24 points, only 5 back of Seattle, which is in first place in the West, and only 2 back of Sporting KC. So the way I see it, the Galaxy have a pretty good shot at overtaking Sporting KC or Seattle. It's going to take a little bit of help from some other teams. For example, Sporting KC doesn't have any games this weekend. They play San Jose at home on Wednesday, and then next Sunday they play the Seattle Sounders in a big-time showdown for the top of the Western Conference, which could be a potential Western Conference final preview, but we're not going to look that far ahead. And only the top 7 teams get into the postseason. I actually did not know this. I thought it was top 8, but the more you know, I guess. So, if the playoffs started today, we would have the Galaxy taking on Real Salt Lake. Then we would have LAFC, which is chilling out in 5th place, taking on Colorado. As we also say hello to Gina G, aka Reppin' to NorCal Sports. She says, have a great show and happy 50th. I appreciate you, Gina. And check out Reppin' to NorCal Sports with Gina G every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And she does a great job with her show. She talks all NorCal sports, whether it's basically like my show except Northern California. There we go. Simple terms as that. So anyway, so back to the Galaxy. So the Galaxy might need a little bit of help from the San Jose Quakes. As for Seattle, they play Minnesota on Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Now, Minnesota has been like they haven't been bad, but they haven't been great. As Minnesota's actually chilling out in 7th place in the Western Conference. The thing about Seattle is that they're the best team in the Western Conference for a reason. They have not lost a match all season long, which is kind of disappointing. But it is what it is, as again, the Galaxy are still within striking distance. Like, their next few games are going to define them the most. As, like I said, this week they have Vancouver in Salt Lake. Then, on Wednesday, the Galaxy play Real Salt Lake at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And then, next Saturday, the Galaxy conclude their 3-game roadie with a road game against Dallas, which will be at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, but we're looking too far ahead. So all in all, the Galaxy, those are some winnable games, actually. Like, Vancouver is at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the Western Conference. And then you look at Utah or Real Salt Lake, they're okay. Like, they're number 6, which could be a potential trap game, and maybe a potential playoff preview. And then you also have Dallas, which is second to last at the moment right now. But that could change because they're tied with San Jose for 11th place. So there's that right there. So all in all, the Galaxy are still in good shape. I would like to see them get assertive when it comes to like beating some of these top tier teams. They won't get another difficult challenge until they play Salt Lake, which is cool, I guess. And then they'll also play Portland, which actually is one of the few teams that have beaten the Galaxy. I believe the Galaxy have lost 4 times this season. Twice to the Sounders, once to Sporting KC and once to Portland in a 3-0 drubbing. Ugh. And then looking at the month of August, notable matchups for the Galaxy. The Galaxy play at home against Salt Lake. Then they play Colorado at home on Tuesday, August 17th. They play Salt Lake on Wednesday, August 4th. Then to close out the noteworthy matchups of August, LA Galaxy play LAFC in El Tráfico on Saturday, August 28th. So there's that for the Galaxy. They have a pretty favorable schedule looking at this schedule right now in August. But they can't get too complacent. Like, they got to take care of their business, and they can't just bank on other teams to do the job, because I don't think Minnesota will beat Seattle. It's wishful thinking, like they could tie, but Seattle is just not the team that loses. Now we jump over to LAFC. They play Real Salt Lake. This time they're playing in Bank of California Stadium. That's going to be a 7:30 p.m. Pacific time start. So last time LAFC squared off against Real Salt Lake, LAFC won 1-0, and they made Real Salt Lake look like clowns. And then before the whole MLS break started, LAFC defeated Austin 2-0, so that's cool. So like I said, currently LAFC is in 5th place, which is actually pretty good. LAFC was once near the bottom of the West, but now they've suddenly risen, which is good. It's good for them. So looking at next Wednesday, LAFC hits the road to Portland to take on the Portland Timbers. That is a 7:30 p.m. start time. And then next Saturday, LAFC plays Vancouver at 7:30 p.m. And then to close out the month of July, they play Minnesota on Wednesday, July 28th. And that is that for their July schedule. So looking at LAFC's schedule, it's kind of favorable, most likely favorable, because Portland is still trying to scratch their way into the top 7. Salt Lake is obviously amongst the top 7 at the moment, and then Minnesota is borderline of top 7 status, and then Vancouver is just Vancouver. I'm sorry to the Vancouver fans, but your team's not that good this year. But LAFC this season, they've shaken off their sluggish start, and I guess that's good, but they still have a ways to go. So, especially when they play the Galaxy, I really can't wait till El Tráfico. Like, who knows? Maybe the Galaxy will beat them by more than 2-1. Who knows? But as of right now, both LA teams, when it comes to the MLS, are doing great when it comes to soccer. So good stuff right there. So that's going to be that for the MLS. I won't drag it out too much as of right now, just because, again, they were on break last week, but once everything starts getting back into the swing of things, we'll have a little bit more in-depth soccer analysis. Speaking of soccer analysis, if you want more of that in a better sorted way, especially with more of the World Cup going on, definitely check out the Soccer Scoreboard Show with Andrew Hagenbaugh every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Andrew does a fantastic job with his show, and he also did a great job with his show earlier today, being the State of Ohio Sports, as he actually went on earlier today. He went on at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, because he was busy, but I should know when it comes to the world of busy, because when it comes to this show, I kind of had to take a few weeks off just because I was so busy in my work week that I just didn't have enough time for the show. But again, that's going to be a little bit later when it comes to Story Time with Teran. So anyway, back to the sports, because that's what we care about. So now we jump on over to the MLB. So currently when it comes to the MLB, the Padres, Angels, and Dodgers are back at it when it comes to the post All-Star break. The Padres are actually beating the Nationals 10-3, and it's only the bottom of the second inning. Believe it or not, the two teams were actually tied 3-3, and then the Padres exploded for 7 runs. Oh, lordy. So, last week, if we're going to go all the way back, we're going to go all the way back to last week. The Padres only played... Well, no, they had their final game of the series against the Nationals, and they won that one 9-8. I believe the Padres were down by as many as 8 runs. Yeah, they were down 8-0 at one point at the halfway point of the 4th inning, and then they scored 8 unanswered. They scored 7 in the 4th inning alone, then 1 in the 6th inning, and then they just walked it off in the 9th inning. So, good win for the Padres, as I can't really say the same for their next series or the series after they won that final game against the Nationals, as the Padres lost 2 out of 3 to the Rockies. I don't understand why the Padres have so much trouble against the Rockies. The worst part was it wasn't even at Colorado. It wasn't even at the Rocky Stadium. It was actually at Petco Park, which I really don't understand. Like, the first game was promising as the Padres beat the Rockies 4-2. Then in the second game, the Padres lost to the Rockies 3-0. And then on Sunday, which was 7-Eleven Day, oh no, I actually can't believe that. I forgot it was 7-Eleven Day. Oh no. Which means I missed out on my free Slurpee. First world problems. Anyway, so on Sunday, this past Sunday, the Rockies beat the Padres 3-1. So there's that right there for the Padres. The Padres are still doing good. The Padres don't need to smash the panic button. They're in third place in the West, yes, but they have control of the second wild card spot. They and the Dodgers have control of the wild card spots, so long as the Giants are occupying the top spot in the NL West. So, back to the Dodgers, or speaking of the Dodgers actually took 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks. I can't believe they actually lost one to the Diamondbacks. That was disappointing in its best, as they lost the first game on Friday 5-2. I couldn't believe it. It's like, are we kidding? I even said it last week on the 1-year anniversary. I said the Dodgers cannot afford to lose games that they should be winning. Like, they can't afford to lose to teams like the Diamondbacks. So they lost 5-2, and then on Saturday, this was a very, 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 very different Dodgers team, as they scored a whopping 22 runs against the Diamondbacks, winning 22-1. They scored 9 in the first 2 innings, and then they scored 7 in the 7th inning, which brought the lead up to 16-0. And then they scored 6 in the 8th inning, which was absolutely amazing. And they totaled 21 hits. That was just nasty. As Gina says, let's go Giants. First game back from the All-Star break starts today. Boo. I'm sorry, Gina. I gotta say this. Boo. This is the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I gotta be in my SoCal element. No offense, though. But anyway, the Dodgers, I could not believe they scored 22 runs after putting up a dinky 2. They scored 11 times the number of runs from their previous game. It's like, where was this offense? And the funny thing is, on Sunday, it looked as if the Dodgers were actually going to lay an egg to the Diamondbacks, but as they were actually down 4-1 at one point, and then the Dodgers' offense came alive as they scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning, and then they scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning, which that was courtesy of Max Muncy winning off of a walk-off home run. So, good job, Max Muncy. So, the Dodgers wound up winning 7-4, and they took 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks, which, if they had lost that game, I would have been rather disappointed. It's like, you can't lose games to the Diamondbacks of all teams. No offense to the Arizona Diamondbacks fans, but they're not having a great season. Let's just say it. Put it that way. There's no kinder way of putting it. So, as for the Dodgers today, they open up a 3-game series in less than 10 minutes against the Colorado Rockies. So, my thing about the Rockies is they're actually pretty good at home. It's shocking. I can't believe it. The Rockies are a mind-blowing 31-17 at home, but they're 9-34 away, which kind of makes me wonder, how did the Padres drop 2 out of 3 at Petco Park to the Rockies? Food for thought. So, the Dodgers, on the other hand, they are 26-21, while, like I said, the Rockies are 31-17, which is very good. For a team that's 40-51, they do take care of business at home. So, my fear for the Dodgers is that they could pretty much be in a trap series as... Oh, whoops, this is the Rockies page. So, this could very much be a trap series for the Dodgers, as their next series after the Rockies is a 4-game home series against the San Francisco Giants of all teams. That is going to be huge right there. Like, if the Dodgers want any hope of winning the NL West, they got to win probably at least 3, if not all 4. It would be great if they took all 4, but knowing the Dodgers, I don't know if it'll happen, because the Giants have been playing out of their mind this year. We'll see what happens. And then after that series against the Giants, believe it or not, the Dodgers are actually facing quite a bit of... They're going to be seeing the Rockies and Giants quite a bit, as after that 4-game series against the Giants, the Dodgers play the Rockies again, this time at the Chavez Ravine, next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then the following Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the Dodgers have a 3-game series against the Giants, which at San Francisco. So that's going to be quite the series. And this is kind of where the Dodgers need to come up big, because if they don't, then it's only going to get tougher for them going forward, considering the Dodgers have no room for error. Again, they're 2 games back of the Giants. That's not bad, but they had so many games where they could have probably overtaken the Giants in the NL West, especially that Miami series. That Miami series was a complete joke show. So the Dodgers have really got to get their you-know-what's in gear. So there's that right there for the Dodgers. And now we go to pretty much the black sheep of all the Southern California MLB teams, the Angels. So the All-Star Game was actually quite the eventful weekend for the Angels, as Shohei Ohtani got to partake in the Home Run Derby, which was awesome sauce. Unfortunately, he lost in a swing-off against Juan Soto of the Washington Nationals, which I actually was doing set point at the time, and I forgot the Home Run Derby was on. I didn't want to move set point. I'm sorry. I thought Monday was the perfect day to recap the NBA. I'm very sorry, everybody. I didn't mean to miss the Home Run Derby or most of the Home Run Derby. Forgive me. But I digress. So, Shohei Ohtani lost to Juan Soto in the first round. I was very heartbroken when I saw that. I'm like, gosh dang it. Especially with what happened with Shohei earlier in the week. Long story short, let's just say a certain sports personality on TV said a naughty thing about Shohei Ohtani being the face of baseball. I'm just going to leave it as that. Let's just say he didn't say, his choice of words were just not the best. So that's all you're going to get out of me. I'm not going to go into any further detail. Let's move on. Anyway, now we jump to the MLB All-Star Game, where Shohei Ohtani was the starting pitcher for the American League team. And he actually got all 3 batters out. He recorded a 1-2-3 inning. He even got Fernando Tatis out as well. He had a strikeout or something like that. Regardless, he was the winning pitcher of the American League, as the American League wound up winning 5-2, which was their 8th straight year winning the All-Star Game. So kudos to the American League. And Dave Roberts was the head skipper of the National League, which unfortunately he has lost 3 All-Star games as the head coach of the National League, or the head manager, the skipper. I digress, but good for the American League. Now, here's the thing about the American League. MVP went to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., which was obviously the son of former Angel Vlad Guerrero. But I think if there was the play of the game and the most underrated hero of that game, it had to go to Jared Walsh, who, keep in mind, Jared Walsh is a first baseman. He actually had to play outfield, and with the bases loaded and with 2 outs, I forget who was up to bat, but that ball looked as if it was going to be a base hit, and it looked as if the National League was going to be scoring 2 runs. But then Jared Walsh from the Angels came out of nowhere, slid, and caught the ball with his glove. And it was the most unbelievable catch anyone has seen. And if it weren't for Jared Walsh going 0 for 2 in his at-bats, I think Jared Walsh gets MVP, because that is unbelievable. First of all, Jared Walsh is playing a fielding position, that's not his standard position. He's playing outfield. Second of all, or left field. Second of all, he makes this amazing catch, which, to me, I think that deserves to be a web gem, or it deserves to be on ESPN's top 10 plays. Regardless, it was a fantastic play, and that right there saved the American League's butt, because anything could have happened after that. So, that could have easily been a double right there. A double, heck, maybe even a triple. 3 runs could have easily scored if Jared Walsh makes the tiniest of errors. So that was the play of the game, and good for Jared Walsh. I was very, very, very happy for him that he made that play. He's having an outstanding season. He has blossomed for the Angels. And also, Shohei Ohtani was the winning pitcher, so good for Shohei, as the American League pretty much took turns rotating pitchers who got the starting nod, or the, whatchamacallit, they were voted in by the fans, so that's their thing. So anyway, back to the Angels. So the Angels kick off a 3-game series against the Seattle Mariners, this time at the Big A, starting tonight at 6:38. So that's actually an hour from now, as it's 5:30. Well, now it's 59 minutes from now. As I was going to say, it's now 5:38 here on the West Coast, but now it's 5:39, so 59 minutes until the Angels and Mariners take the first pitch. Last week, the Angels lost 2 out of 3 to the Seattle Mariners. They lost 7-3 in Game 1 last Friday. Then last Saturday, the Angels lost 2-0, and then on Sunday, the Angels won, salvaging at least 1 win in their series against the Mariners, winning 7-1. Also, last week was the MLB draft. I also got to make note that the Angels did something I didn't think they would actually do. They focused on pitching. I couldn't believe it. The Angels actually focused on pitching. They drafted a whopping 20 pitchers in the draft. All 20 of their picks were pitchers, which at least they're finally addressing their pitching issue, because that seems to be the problem with the Angels. They're a pitcher or 2 or 3 from possibly being a contender, but at least they finally solve. They didn't solve it, but they addressed it in the draft. So good stuff for the Angels. But I do need to critique them for one itty bitty bit, and I do need to I won't say crack the whip, but I do need to make note of something that I was kind of disappointed in, and I think most Angels fans were originally disappointed in as well. The Angels, with their first-round pick, the Angels had the number 9 pick, and believe it or not, Kumar Rocker, one of the top prospects in the MLB draft, actually did not get drafted to the first 8 picks. And then the Angels finally had the 9th pick, and I'm thinking, this is it. After all that's happened, after all the tanking that the Angels pretty much did, after all of the stinking that they've been doing and the underachieving, this is their chance. They need to draft Kumar Rocker with the number 9 pick. And that's what they did, right? Of course they didn't. They went with someone else. They went with Sam Bachman. Sam Bachman from, I believe he's from Miami of Ohio. Now, he's not a bad pitcher, but he's not, I don't know if he's the guy that's going to go like, he's not a starting pitcher. He's like a relief pitcher. And I was disappointed that the Angels did not draft Kumar Rocker. Like, he was right there. Kumar Rocker has been one of the top prospects in the MLB, and he went through 8 teams, and he fell right into the Angels' lap. And then the Angels decided to go with Sam Bachman. And then, unfortunately, after the Angels went with Bachman, guess where Kumar Rocker went? The number 10 pick. Over to the New York Mets. And that's that. I could not believe it. It's like the Angels really had Kumar Rocker in their fingertips, and then they decided, let's pick someone else. Why does this Angels team gotta, like, do this to me? I'm sorry, but it just is very disappointing. I mean, Bachman isn't bad. I'll give him a chance. Maybe Bachman has some upswing or up pitch to him, but I would have preferred Kumar Rocker. I know he had his downs, especially that atrocious final game in the World Series against Mississippi State, but this dude was the real deal. He even pitched a no-hitter in the College World Series. And you mean to tell me the Angels decided to go for some dude that I haven't really heard of? Like, every Angels fan was pretty livid that they found out that Bachman was picked over Kumar Rocker. It's disappointing, but it is what it is, unfortunately. Like, no use crying over spilt milk. At least the Angels kinda, what's the word? They kinda focused on pitching more so. But those pitchers aren't going to be ready for the big leagues for a while. So the Angels will still have to, like, weed them out with their farm system. But at least they're moving in the correct direction. At least they didn't, like, they didn't waste their pick on, like, a third baseman or whatnot. So we'll see what happens with Sam Bachman. But again, it was very disappointing that the Angels did not select Kumar Rocker. Like, that was what everyone was hoping for. And that was who I was hoping that the Angels would get. And again, it just fell right into their laps. But they decided, let's not get Kumar Rocker. He had this bad game against Mississippi State, and then it was just this facepalm. But it is what it is. That's the Angels for you, everybody. So, anyway, now for the Angels series against the Mariners. They played the Mariners this time at Angel Stadium today, tomorrow, and on Sunday. And then on Monday and Tuesday, the Angels have a two-game series against the Oakland Athletics. That's going to be at Oakland, and it's going to be on Monday at 6:40 p.m. Pacific time, and then on Tuesday at 12:37 Pacific time. And then after that, the Angels have the day off on Wednesday, but then they have a 4-game series at Minnesota, which is kind of like their mirror. Like, Minnesota is having just as bad of a season as the Angels are. I mean, the Angels are above 500, I'll give them that much, but the Twins are no better. Like, they're 4th in their division, just like the Angels are, and it's not getting any better for the Twins. Like, that seems to be the theme for the Angels and the Twins. 2 teams that have not won a playoff game in, like, forever. 2 teams with promising rosters, with the Angels being more promising. I mean, the Twins haven't won a playoff game since I think 2002, and they've been swept in pretty much every series. So there's that. And both those teams are pretty much average this season. So we'll see what happens when it comes to the Twins and the Angels. I hope the Angels are able to take care of business in that series, because it kind of gets a little tough for them. I mean, they do play the Rockies, in which, like I said, the Rockies are atrocious on the road. They haven't even cracked double digits in terms of wins on the road. And then to close out the month of July, the Angels play Oakland at Angel Stadium on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then they cross over to Sunday, where the two play each other in a 4-game series. So there's that. So we'll see what happens with the Angels. They still have a chance to make the postseason, but it's not looking too good. Like, the best they'll probably do in the AL West is probably third. The only way they get to second place is if the Oakland A's stop playing baseball, or the Oakland A's just pretty much trade everybody to the moon and back. So we'll see what happens going forward. So, like I said, the Angels, there's a reason why I called the Angels the black sheep of the Southern California MLB teams. One, because the Angels aren't anywhere near a playoff spot, and two, they're barely treading above 500. Like, you look at the Padres and the Dodgers, at least they have 50-ish wins. The only good thing I have for the Angels is that Shohei Ohtani's at 32 home runs, and he is on pace to get 60 for the season. And I really hope Shohei Ohtani does get 60 home runs. The good news for the Angels is that they will get Mike Trout back sooner rather than later, and they should also get Anthony Rendon back as well, as he was just recently placed on the injured list. But Mike Trout was out for like 6 to 8 months, and he should be coming back soon. And I really hope he provides the spark for the Angels, because boy howdy, it cannot get much worse. So we'll see what happens with the Angels and the other two Southern California baseball teams, the Padres and the Dodgers. But for right now, that is it for the MLB talk as of right now. Looking back on the Padres and Nationals game, the Padres are now up 11-3 in the bottom of the third inning. The Dodgers are actually gotten their matchup against the Rockies underway. The Dodgers have two men on second and first with only one out, and again, it's the top of the first inning, and here's hoping the Dodgers can score early and often, as Will Smith is up to bat for the Dodgers, and again, hopefully he can just drive in those 2 runs and the Dodgers can score early and often. So, but that's enough commentary on the MLB. So if you want more baseball action, definitely do check out Bases Loaded with Brandon Buckingham and Blake Henley and Chris Garcia, aka Sports Brain, every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. This week was kind of just a brief little show. As it was just a recap of the All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby, but they do a great job when it comes to their show. They talk a lot of baseball. They breathe baseball. So there's that. So before we head into our commercial break, we actually have to talk just a little about the Chargers. So what happened? And this kind of actually has more to do with Patrick Mahomes, but I guess I don't know who it was. It was a fan, according to CBS Sports. One fan in particular, I don't know if it was a Chargers fan, I don't know if it was a Justin Herbert stan, I don't know if it was a Chiefs hater, but one fan in particular, I guess he was at the Chiefs training camp, he said to Patrick Mahomes, "Watch out for Justin Herbert in 2021. Well, he actually just said, "Watch out for Justin Herbert." So Patrick Mahomes being the smart guy he said, he actually jabbed back with this little remark. I'll see it when I believe it. Okay, I gotta stop playing with that button, but that it kind of is actually the most useful that button is going to be, because first and foremost, it's not. At first, everyone thought, "Oh my God, Patrick Mahomes is taking a shot at Justin Herbert," and everyone was losing their minds. But then the video went viral, and then Mahomes felt the need to clarify what he said. And he said it wasn't a shot at Patrick Mahomes whatsoever, but it was fun football banter with the fans of rival teams. Again, I don't know if that fan was a Chargers fan, a Raiders fan, or any assortment of fan. I don't know what he was. And and Gina says that Mahomes sure is funny, and then she also says Herbert is the real deal. Facts. But Patrick Mahomes did say that it was all fun and football banter with that fan, and then he said, "I think it got a little taken out of context. I was talking some trash to all those Raiders and Broncos and Chargers fans out there." Okay, just so we know, there is such thing as Chargers fans. I don't want to hear any more of this whole, there's no such thing as Chargers fans. That theory is now debunked. Patrick Mahomes says they're Chargers fans. The end of story. Okay, but Mahomes said, I was talking some trash to all those Raiders and Broncos and Chargers fans out there. I have a ton of respect for him as a player, as he's referring to Justin Herbert. For him to come out in year one and play at that level is a special thing. Not a lot of guys can do it. And I know I have a lot of tough games against him in the future. So it was kind of a joking matter that I think blew up on Twitter like most things do. And he's not wrong. As Gina says, I'm the first Chargers fan that she's ever met. Thanks, Gina. Anyway, so I appreciate that. But anyway, I think it was taken a little out of context as well. Obviously, people will take things too out of proportion. I don't think Justin Herbert would take it out of proportion, honestly. Like, if he said that, I think he'd just put his head down and just keep grinding. And it really is. And the fact that Mahomes said that about Justin Herbert really speaks to high volumes of how much growth Justin Herbert has gotten. And keep in mind, he did not have the best O-line. His coach wasn't really the best of the bunch. No offense to Anthony Lynn. Like, God bless Anthony Lynn. But he just didn't have the correct scheme for Justin Herbert. He doubted Justin Herbert. And in that Chiefs game against the Chargers, Justin Herbert had less than 60 seconds to prepare to take on the reigning Super Bowl champions. So the fact that the Chargers have this great superstar in Justin Herbert means the future is looking promising for them. Like I said, the Chargers still have a ways to go in order to be great. Well, considered a great team. But they're getting there. Like, they're at least building around Justin Herbert. And if Justin Herbert can continue to provide, like, revenue, entertainment, and what's the word? And, like, I said revenue, entertainment, and just like putting on a show for Chargers fans. And if he can, like, get Chargers fans to, like, buy into the Chargers as a whole, that could put the Chargers as a big market team. So there is that right there, which is some good stuff. And I don't think Patrick Mahomes meant to take it out of context. Like, everyone is going to talk smack on Patrick Mahomes. Like, the dude is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Like, everyone, whether it's like PFF or all these Instagram sports pages that like is angled around the NFL, they're saying Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. So there is that, and honestly, I don't mind him saying that. I don't really have beef with that. Like, again, it's just friendly banter, and who knows, maybe it could be motivation for Justin Herbert, because what if he heard it and someone asked him about it, and he's like, really? But I don't think Herbert would take that too out of context. Like, I think Herbert is humble. So there's that for Justin Herbert, and I just need to get that out there just because I don't think most people heard this, but if so, kudos. So before I close out the Chargers and whatnot, the Chargers actually have some bad news. They, along with the Washington football team, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Indianapolis Colts, are under 50% for vaccination for COVID-19 as of today, according to a source familiar with the NFL's vaccination rates. And teams on the lower end of the vaccination chart face potential competitive disadvantages, especially because the NFL doesn't plan to cancel any games this season, per the source of Rob Madie. So, I said this on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show Twitter account. The Chargers need to get their you-know-what together and get that number up. Because the fact that the Rams have more vaccination, that their vaccination rate is much higher, is a lot concerning. And Gina says COVID cases are on the rise for those who are not vaxxed. And also, one more thing to add to this is that Los Angeles County is now back in the lockdown because everyone is being stupid. And it's disappointing, and now LA County is back in lockdown. Well, not in lockdown, but they have a new mask mandate, which I believe is going to be in effect on July 30th. Luckily for me, I live in Orange County, so I'm not really affected by this, but please, don't come here. Don't come here and spread and get everything back to square one again. So, oh well. I did hear that Justin Herbert is vaccinated. I'm surprised he's not saying anything and telling his teammates and his coaches to get vaccinated. The strange thing is that Brandon Staley, back when he was with the LA Rams, he actually contracted the virus when he was with the Rams and whatnot. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Chargers. I hope they can get their you-know-whats together. And Mike Pat in the chat room, we welcome you. He says, good evening, Teran. Happy 50th. I appreciate you. And Gina says, want to know something funny? San Francisco just fully opened this month. That's interesting. That's actually quite fascinating. And I'm a little surprised. So, Northern California, well, Southern San Francisco opened up this month, while Los Angeles County is now back to mask mandate, which really sucks. That's why I keep telling everybody at the end of my show, if you haven't been vaccinated, get vaccinated. I don't know why I have to keep saying that over and over again. I don't just say that to be a mother or whatnot. I'm saying that because now Los Angeles County is back in this whole little mask mandate. Again, I'm fortunate to live in Orange County. I don't have to deal with that. But I'm still going to be cautious. I'm still going to have a mask on standby. Because I don't want to get COVID. I'm too young to get COVID. Anyway, but that's basically going to do it with the Chargers and whatnot. All in all, there hasn't been big Chargers news as well as Rams news, but the Chargers do need to get their you-know-whats together and get that vaccination rate high. And Gina says, California going to go back to lockdown. I'm going to be so upset. And then she actually had COVID. So, yeah, that's kind of concerning. But I'm glad you're over COVID, Gina. And here's hoping everyone gets their you-know-whats back together so that we could prevent the rise of COVID. So, there's that. But on that note, we're actually going to take ourselves a commercial break. We have gotten all the sports. We have gotten all the sports out of the way. But after the break, we're going to have a little story time with Teran on how the SoCal Supreme Sports Show came to be. And after that, I'll send you all on your way because we have another show coming up here on iSports Radio. So there's that. But you are listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after a word from these drops.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Teran Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with a list of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the college, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
And we are back with segment number 2 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. You can check out all of our amazing shows on different streaming platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Podcast Addict, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Deezer, and even Google Podcasts. Those are just a few streaming platforms you can check out some of our shows on. And once again, you can follow IE Sports Radio on Twitter at IE Sports Radio and on Instagram at IE Sports Radio. And then we are also on Facebook by searching the words IE Sports Radio. So definitely do check us out there. And also check out our sponsor, the Southern California Warriors, the official sponsor of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all of that sports. Alright, so now let's jump on into segment number 2. We don't have too much time because in about 40 minutes, the Sports Couple Perspectives is about to go live on air. So this segment is going to be called Story Time with Teran. So grab your milk and cookies, or your dessert, or your dinner, or your lemonade, or anything that you like to enjoy, and pull up a seat because it is time for Story Time with Teran. So this story, I actually had this little segment of Storytime with Teran for my 50th episode special on the SoCal Supreme, or not SoCal Supreme Sports Show, Set Point as well. So, Set Point and the SoCal Supreme Sports Show are kind of the same, except not really. They're actually quite different. So, this Storytime with Teran will be based upon how the SoCal Supreme Sports Show got to be. So, this all started in about June of 2020, June of last year. So Larry B messaged me, talking to me about some stuff. Larry B is the head honcho of IE Sports Radio. Big shout out to him and all that he does. And then he messaged me, how would you like to have a second show, Teran? And he actually pitched me the idea of having... Originally, he actually pitched me the idea of having an all-California sports show. And then he also pitched me the idea of having an all-Western region. So not just California, but like Utah, Nevada, Arizona, Washington, like Seattle and Portland and whatnot, Colorado, all of the West Coast, or the Pacific North region. The Pacific region, you know what I mean. And then I thought to myself, that's quite a bit of sports if I had a Pacific region show. Because we used to have a regional show dedicated to the Pacific region in the Wild West. I think it was called the Wild West Podcast. I'm not sure. Either way. And then I thought to myself, California would be a great idea. But at the same time, California is just crawling with sports. Not just in Southern California, but Northern California. So that could make the show a lot longer. So then I had the idea of telling Larry B, why not make it about Southern California? And he was on board with it. So then I had to think of a name. And honestly, I actually did not know what to call this show at first. And then I just needed something that rolled off the tongue. And then I called it the SoCal. I'm like, how about the SoCal Supreme Sports Show? And there was a method to my madness. And Larry B, to his credit, actually knew why I named it the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Because it's like a supreme pizza with lots of toppings on it. Just like how there's lots going on in Southern California. Not just with like the Lakers and the Clippers, but the Rams, Chargers, Angels, Dodgers, Padres, Ducks of Anaheim, the Kings, and then all the college sports such as like USC, UCLA, UC Irvine, Long Beach State, Cal State Fullerton, UC Riverside, California Baptist. Gotta say California Baptist because you can't say Cal Baptist. I was told that. But then on July 20th, 2020, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show was born. And boy howdy, it was pretty good. Like, at the time, Southern California sports was just taking off. Like, the Chargers and Rams had their draft. The Lakers were doing great guns last season. The Dodgers were like spreading their wings. The Padres were emerging as a very talented team. And everything was just going smooth sailing despite the COVID year. And everything just kept going perfectly for me. Like, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show was pretty much a hit. And I also do gotta give a big shout out to my brother, Teran Rodriguez, for being a guest on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. He and I would do the SoCal Supreme Sports Show together. He would always stay on for like the Lakers segments and the Dodgers segments and the Rams segments because he is a Rams fan. Unfortunately, he kind of was a part of the Chargers segments, but he wasn't really a part of the like MLS portion or like the NHL portion, but it was all good. And also the college sports aspect of the show. Regardless, it didn't matter. Like, I was happy to have him on. It really was great to have someone to talk to, as it wasn't just myself talking to you all. And I liked his perspectives, and he springed ideas off of me and vice versa. And I really enjoyed having him. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, like, he's moved to Dallas, Texas, so he's going to also be rooting for Dallas sometimes, but he's mainly going to be a Lakers fan and a Rams fan. So there's that right there. And I also got to give a shout to one of my other friends, Chris Young, who was a guest on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show as we talked NBA and NFL back when the Chargers played the Patriots. I don't remember the week, but the Chargers did play the Patriots. I think it was like week 13 or something. Week 13 or 14. And then the Rams played the Patriots in week 14 or 15. Regardless, yeah, it was week 14. Now I remember. The Rams played the Patriots in Week 14, and then the Chargers play the Patriots in Week 13. We don't talk about Week 13 with the Chargers and the Patriots. Anyway, definitely gotta give my friend Chris Young a shout out for being a guest, and keep in mind he's a Bostonian fan. So there's that. So all in all, unlike Set Point, where I had times where it kind of got stale, and I just had a tough time doing it, I actually didn't have too tough of a time when it came to doing the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. There was only one little episode which I had technical difficulties. My microphone, I guess, was like on the fritz, and I had to like stop because my voice sounded super distorted. But that was because stupid me decided to leave Spreaker open all night without closing the darn app and maybe resetting, and eventually I sounded distorted. And keep in mind, this show actually was on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. instead of like Fridays at 5 p.m. So keep in mind that this show originally started on Wednesdays. So I had Set Point originally on Tuesdays. Then I also had SoCal Supreme Sports Show the day after. So my voice was getting a workout. So other than that little blip of me being a dum-dum and leaving Spreaker open and not having the darn thing update and reset, it was all good. And then came 2021, where everything kind of opening was a blessing and a curse. For starters, it was great to have everything opening up again. I got to be able to do my semi-job. I basically wrote lacrosse stories for a high school lacrosse website, and I also got to film high school football games. But the curse of that was I had to kind of move SoCal Supreme Sports Show around, whether it was like to Saturdays or to Thursdays or to Wednesdays or earlier Fridays. Like, it was tough. Like, there were even weeks where I had to take the week off of SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Now, I know a week off isn't bad, but I don't like taking weeks off. There's a reason why Set Point has not had a week off since March 2nd, 2020. So it was just tough. And it's like, gosh, there's just so much going on. And there's a reason why the 50th episode special didn't come sooner, or the 1 year the 1 year anniversary special was the 1 year anniversary special. But there's a reason why the 50th episode of SoCal Supreme Sports Show kind of came a little later. But I guess there was no real rush to having the SoCal Supreme Sports Show's 50th episode special. Besides, this isn't really like a 50th episode special. Otherwise, I would have had like guests on. But maybe I'll make up for it. Maybe I'll have a guest on. I'll maybe have like a buddy of mine or my brother on maybe next week. Who knows? But as for the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, I actually had a different theme prior to the one that you currently hear right now. Like, I actually had to switch themes because, like I said last week, I wasn't feeling it. And also it just had this little annoying voice that kept appearing in the original theme, which I actually was given this was actually another mistake that I made. So I was actually given the free download to my original opening theme of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, and unfortunately, free did not mean quality, because this theme basically had it wasn't like copyrighted. It was a free download, and it was royalty free, but the producer did have its like copyright and whatnot, so I had to get a new theme, and this other theme that I currently have is Great Guns. So as for me with this show, it's been a great 1 year and a great 50 episodes, and the only thing I will say is that I am a firm believer of getting better every time I do this type of show or do Set Point. Because I'm going to tell you all this, I think it was like Monday evening at it was like at midnight on Tuesday. It was like the wee hours of the morning, I think it was like 1 a.m. on Tuesday. I actually went back and listened to Set Point, and I wanted to figure out, how do I make myself better? How do I want to make this show and Set Point better than it needs to be? And I actually found out that my microphone, nothing was wrong with it. Let's get that out of the way, but it just had this echo whenever my theme was playing, and it never really appeared like that. But I do remember me unplugging my microphone, because for those that don't know, I use a headset mic, and then that was something else I needed to perfect as well. I needed to have a headset mic as opposed to using my speaker system for doing my shows, just because I wanted to feel a little bit more professional and whatnot of using a headset mic. So there's that right there. So honestly, I'm a firm believer of getting better, and I am very adamant of trying to improve no matter what I do. Whether it's trying to fix my speech impediments, whether it's trying to fix my sound quality, whether it's trying to fix my organization skills, I really am a firm believer of getting better and improving. Just because I want to help make IE Sports Radio a household name, and nothing's going to stop me. Nothing's going to stop me or the others from doing that, because we are all podcasters and we love what we do. And honestly, I really think we have something special going here. We've got more new shows on the way. Like this Saturday, we have the premiere of Made in Colorado featuring Gary Funk, which will air at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Central time, and 8 p.m. Eastern time. I believe that's the case. If not, it's probably 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So, but for me and the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, it's been a great 50 episodes. It's not like Set Point where I hit a brick wall and I just was like, why am I doing this? Like, the only brick wall I kind of hit was just I was so busy with life outside of doing the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, and I was like, I'm starting to get the feeling why it's so tough to have multiple commitments and doing a podcast. So, but I was able to eventually overcome it and get everything done and squared away, not just with my work or my jobs and whatnot, but also for my schoolwork at Cal State University Long Beach, which I graduated from. So there's that. But in closing, when it comes to Storytime with Teran, this has just been an honor and a blessing to have 50 episodes. Like, I knew I would get to 50 episodes with this show, but I didn't think it was going to be easy. Like, I knew I was going to have some, I wouldn't say turmoil, but, like, obstacles to overcome. Like, I had my obstacles to overcome when it came to Set Point, but that was totally different. You're going to be hearing that story in a couple more weeks. When it comes to SoCal Supreme Sports Show, it's all about me having to find the time to do this show and me finding the motivation to do this show, because it's not that I didn't have lack of motivation for SoCal Supreme Sports Show, but it just was tough to squeeze in time. That's my thing. But again, I'm very, very proud and happy to do this show, and like my friend Marcus Losgreat said one time, a house is never built overnight. And I know I don't have the best Southern California sports show compared to all of these other big-time sports shows, such as, like, the things on, like, the mainstream channels like ESPN, or, like, the radio stations that are like, going on every day. But I'll say this, I'm mighty proud of the job that I did. Like, to get to 50 episodes and to be doing this whole thing for a year, despite a pandemic year, despite having to go through a lot of things to juggle around, it's not easy. And it's not really, I wouldn't say it's not easy to do 2 shows. Like, if you could find the time to do 2 shows, awesome, but sometimes it could just be overwhelming. But all in all, it really has been an honor, and I couldn't be more happy to do this show and to do Set Point, and I hope I can get this show to 100 episodes. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I may try to have more ideas to like spruce up the show. I might try to have the Dum Dum of the Week award for someone that does something loserish or dummy-ish. But that remains to be seen. Like, I don't really like poking fun of people. It would be funny to have like a Dum Dum of the Week award, because a lot of people do something loserish and something that just makes you say, why did this guy do this sort of thing? And it can be anyone. It could be myself. It could be my neighbor. It could be someone across the earth. It could be someone outside of the Earth's orbit. It all depends. But maybe I'll have a Dum Dum of the Week award. But in closing, I really am honored to do the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I'm not going to try to get too sappy and emotional, but I just want to thank, for starters, Larry B for giving me this opportunity of doing the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I'm very happy he was able to like message me and say, how would you like to have a second show dedicated to Southern California? And I'm like, let's do it. And also, I want to thank you, the listeners, for tuning in, whether it's early in the morning, whether it's late at night, whether it's on East Coast time, West Coast time, Midwest time, Southern time, Alaska time, Hawaii time, the time during you work, the list goes on and on. No matter what happens, if you are tuning in, whether it's live or on the playback, I really, 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 really appreciate you. I know I say that every week, but I will also make note. I also need to make note of that. Like, you, the listeners, you are what motivates me to doing this sort of thing. Without you, this show, Set Point, and the other shows on iSports Radio don't amount to too much. Like one person said on iSports Radio, I think it was, I forget his name, but iSports Radio is for the fans, by the fans, and that's never going to change. But with all that in mind, that is going to do it for the 50th episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And before we get out of here, I actually do need to tell everybody about the origination of my ending catchphrase, let's get on out of here. Normally, my catchphrase is drop the beat. Well, for Set Point, my catchphrase is drop the beat, because I'm about to dip like a banana in chocolate, you feel me. I was going to have that catchphrase for SoCal Supreme Sports Show, but then I thought, let's have something original. And I just wanted to make it a little simpler. Let's get on out of here, because it's my dinner time, I got studying to do, I got to water my cat and feed my plants, I got to make sure the neighbor's dog isn't in my yard, my mom is calling me, that sort of thing. That's why I just say, let's get on out of here, because I just want to be simple. I don't want to have like another catchphrase like, I'm about to dip like a banana in chocolate. But I just have this simple catchphrase of, let's get on out of here. Maybe I'll have a catchphrase post this show in like episode 51 and beyond, but let's not get our hopes up. Let's keep this whole little let's get on out of here. But on that note, it is that time, ladies and gentlemen, to get on out of here, because in about 20 minutes we have another show going on here. You feel me? Thank you all very much for tuning into the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I really do appreciate you, and I appreciate you tuning in on this 50th episode special. I've appreciated all you listeners have done and all my teammates have done for helping promote this show, for doing everything possible to like try to tune in. I really do appreciate y'all. Y'all are the real MVPs. It really means a lot to me, and that you all are taking time out of your day to help this show grow. Because again, this show isn't as old as Set Point, but it's starting to get there. It's reached the halfway point to the century mark. So there's that right there. Thank you once again to Larry B for giving me this opportunity, and thank you to my iSports Radio family. Thank you to everyone that was in the chat room today. Mike Pat says, great show, Teran. Keep up the good work. And Gina G likes my idea of the Dum Dum of the Week, so maybe I'll have that for episode 51. We'll see. But for right now, for everyone here at iSports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have yourselves a great rest of the weekend. If you're going out to the beach or you're going out to get some sun, definitely get some sunscreen, because nothing sucks worse than getting sunburnt. I will see you all Monday for Set Point. And once again, I mean this when I say this, if you aren't vaccinated, get vaccinated. Have yourselves a great weekend, and I will see you all Monday for Set Point. Have a great rest of the weekend, and remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace.